Let's check out the 1985 top set. Yes, 1985 top set. We're going to open it up and show you every card in the set. I'm going to find a box to put some of the cards as I reopen them up. This is the box the whole set comes in. I'm going to announce every card. Boy, I haven't even ever opened this up. So I just buy these things and never open them up. This is the full set. Topps did not have a factory set in 85, so check it out as I cut the corners here. I hope I got every card. Oh, I did. They even put the best ones on top. This is kind of cool. So very nice set. Looks like I spent about $100 on this whenever the heck I bought it a couple years ago. Yeah, I'm going to pull the plastic stuff off. I thought I opened this up already. And what I'm going to do with the set is I'm going to open it up and I'm going to put it all into pockets and then into an album. So that'll be fun. It's a lot of fun doing that. It's kind of like doing a latch hook rug kit. Well, that's the back of the set, so we'll do that last. Let's do the beginning first. And we will start out with the beginning. And these will be cards 90 to 1. Cards 90 to 1. Let's go through them. Goose Gossage, Hall of Famer. Jackie Gutierrez, not in the Hall of Fame. Bryn Smith. There's a decent little picture for the Expos. David Green, I really don't remember him. Don Asse. Mike Marshall could slap the ball around pretty good for the Dodgers. Spike Owen, good fielding shortstop. Charlie Moore. Joe Price. Lenny Sakata. I'm going to do this. I'm going to zoom in. We hope you're enjoying my videos on Days, Cards, and Sports Games. Once again, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. We're going to announce every card in the set. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit. There's the Aaron Judge baseball. Autographed ball from the All-Star game. The gold ball in the past. That's maybe pink or something. I don't know the color. Keith Hernandez. Possible Hall of Fame candidate in the future. Rick Mahler. I believe he was a reliever. No, later on in his career he was a reliever. Scotty Fletcher. Joe Beckwith. Alan Bannister. Willie Upshaw. Mike Krukow. I took too big of a stack. Rusty Kuntz played for the Twins. How about Rick Sutcliffe? Great pitcher. Many All-Star games. Tim Laudner, All-Star for the Twins with a whopping, probably career average of about 190. Don Baylor played for the Twins in the 1987 World Series. What a basher he was. Jim Wynn. Once again, we're looking at the 1985 Topps complete set. Von Hayes, Rafael Santana. Dick Williams, good manager. Billy Buckner, great player. Should be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, with how good he was. Unfortunately, one error cost him pretty much everything. Mark Bailey. Steve McCaddy was a decent pitcher for the A's. Mike Ramsey. He was a great player on the 1980 Olympic hockey team. Then he went to baseball. He played for the Buffalo Sabres. Kurt Kaufman, George Hendrick, Rick Waite, Orlando Mercado, Pat Zachary, Jim Dwyer, Frank Tanana, looking good in the Ranger uniform, mostly known for his days in California. Cesar Cedeno, mostly known for his days in Houston. Tom Gorman, Jerry Dubzinski. As I sneeze, bless me. Thank you. You've been blessed. Jerry Dubzinski, Bob Watson, John Candelaria, Butch Davis, Tony Fernandez, great fielder, Rookie of the Year. Or no, he wasn't Rookie of the Year. That was Alfredo Griffin. Dave Rozema, Gary Woods, Greg Minton, Dickie Thon, great player. Andre David hit a homer in his first at-bat in the major leagues and probably ended with about 7. Luis Sanchez, Mike Fishland, Phil Niekro, Hall of Famer, Johnny Walkenfuss, love that name, Jackie Moore, Reed Nichols, Fred Brenning, Craig Nettles. Started his career with the Minnesota Twins. Then he went to Cleveland and the Yankees and then the Padres. Another guy who had a great career. He ended up with can't read the hits. He ended up with Usually if you get close to 2,000 hits, you should be in the Hall of Fame. And he had 1980 here. Definitely ended with over 2,000 hits. So definitely should get some votes. And he's really good. Good fielder. Edwin Nunez. Tito Landrum. Chuck Border. Terry Whitfield. Cal Ripken Jr. At that point, he played in about 500 consecutive games. He'll never make 2,000. Cal Ripken, 1985. Odell Jones. What did Ripken do that year? Batted 300. Dan Billardello. Bruce Brenny. Roy Smalley. After the Twins, he went to the Yankees and the White Sox. And then back to the Twins. Steve Bedrosian. Jesse Barfield. Saberhagen was a great pitcher. That's his rookie card. Yes, it is. And he'll have a lot of zeros after that because usually when you're a good player, you get the number 0 at the end of your card. There's Dwayne Kuiper, Lee Tennell. Chet Lemon gets the 0. George Frazier, Mickey Hatcher, Mike Scott, great pitcher. Jerry Koosman, great pitcher. Chris Bando, Jerry Koosman from Appleton, Minnesota. Chris Bando, Tim Lawler, Davey Lopes, Ralph Hulk. Don Sutton. Now we get to the record breakers. Most seasons, 100 or more strikeouts. How many was it? 19 consecutive years. Holy smokes, that's longevity. Bruce Sutter, most saves in a season at that time. And it was 45. I believe Lamar Hoyt. A couple years later, not Lamar Hoyt, Bobby Thigpen from the White Sox, able to get over 50. Juan Samuel, most stolen bases by a rookie in a season. 72. Doesn't make sense. How many didn't Ricky Henderson get more than that? Nolan Ryan, most strikeouts lifetime. And that was 3,874. He struck out over 200 more. Pete Rose, most singles. Joe Morgan, most homers by a second baseman. Cliff Johnson, most pinch homers. Dwight Gooden, most strikeouts rookie season. And that was 276, which is great. Steve Garvey, most consecutive errorless games at first base. 188. That is a great, he should be in the Hall of Fame. A great player in every aspect of the game. Steve Garvey. Let's open up stack number 2. Ooh, we got the father-son cards. Those are always exciting. A lot of father-son cards this year. Holy smokes. Let's see who their fathers are. There's Ozzie Virgil and his dad, Ozzie Virgil Sr., for the Tigers. Second one, we get Dizzy Trout and Steve Trout. I'll have to replace that, a little stain on it. Dave Stenhouse and Mike Stenhouse. Roy Smalley and Roy Smalley. How about Bob Skinner and Joel Skinner? How about Dick Schofield and Dick Schofield Jr.? Vance Law and his dad was Vern Law. Bill Kunkel. Don't even know who his kid was. Jeff Kunkel from the Texas Rangers. Bob Kennedy. Terry Kennedy. Forgot about him. A good catcher for the Padres. Tito Francona. Terry Francona, who's now a coach. Ray Boone and Bob Boone. Yogi and Dale Berra. Boy, those stories Dale could tell would be crazy. Gus Bell and my favorite third baseman of all time, Buddy Bell, with George Brett a close second. Then we get to the 0 cards, I bet. Al Oliver, Gene Garber, Ernie Witt, Mark Gubiza, Rupert Jones, Kent DeCalve. A 5, that means he's kind of good. 0s are the best. Hebner, Dave Smith, Tom Bruno Brunansky, a checklist card, and Steve Kemp gets the 120. Not even with a great year. Pat Corrales, Eric Shaw, Greg Gross, Dennis Oil Can Boyd, Ricky Henderson. Boy, was he a great leadoff man. Bob James, Tommy Herr, Tom Tellman, Doug DeCinces. If there's players you'd like to tell people, and I saw him live plenty of times at the Metrodome, it's one of those things where people, when you were a kid, I'm 57, and people were saying, boy, I remember watching, Mickey Mantle or whatever. I never had a chance to see Mickey Mantle. I'm going to say, boy, I had a chance to see Ricky Henderson play. That guy was unbelievable. Power, everything. Mike Fitzgerald. I think they're showing me a little stain I need to replace. Randy Lurch. Tommy Dunbar. Jim Acker. George Brett. He better be a 0-0. 0-0s are the best players in the league. Milt Wilcox, good player. Steve Lake. Pete Filson. Johnny Ray. Jose Cruz, good player. Toby Harrod, good player. Don Schultze. Paul Owens and Jeff Burrows. We are flying now. This is a huge set, the 1985 set. Glenn Mother Hubbard. Dave Stegman. Jimmy Key, great lefty. Hojo. That's his card with the Tigers. I think that might be a rookie, too. Hojo's rookie. Steve Nicosia. Rusty Staub, one of his final cards. Look at all the years he played. That's 21 seasons of stats on the back. 2,700 hits. I don't know why he isn't in the Hall of Fame. Warren Brewstar, Greg Pryor, Mike Walters, decent pitcher for the Twins. Bob Lillis, Al Holland, Carmen Castillo, Larry McWilliams, Tim Flannery, Dave Winfield, Hall of Famer from St. Paul. Tommy John, another Hall of Famer. When you get a surgery named after you, you're a good player. Miguel Delaunay, Dave Van Olen, Bill Schrader. Let's look at man, Tommy John had a long career. Dave Van Olen, Bill Schrader, Dave Parker should be in the Hall of Fame. Rick Honeycutt, Mike Young, Jack Perconte, Bill Stein, George Foster also possibly should be in the Hall of Fame. We get a lot of stained cards. I'm not happy with some of the backs of these cards. I got to replace them. They're all fairly inexpensive. Dan Spillner, Garth George, Rufino Linares, Keith Atherton, Dusty Baker should be in the Hall of Fame for coaching. George Orta. It's always weird because his name is George Orta, but it looks like it'd be called Jorge. Dennis Eckersley, Hall of Famer. Benny DiStefano, Kenny Schramm, Lance Parrish, another great player. Carlos Diaz, Pat Tabler, Tug McGraw, fantastic reliever. Craig Reynolds, Yogi Berra, Hall of Famer. Argena Salazar, Frank LaCourte, Steve Braun, Moose Haas, Jim Hall of Fame Rice, Dickie Knowles, Steve Yeager, decent catcher for many years. Bill Swiggerty, Gary Reedus was pretty fast. Alvin Davis was a great first baseman, and Ron Gardenhire, former Twins coach. So we're having fun now. We are about a third of the way done, almost a third of the way done with the 1985 top set. And I don't know why I have Carlton Fisk out. Card number 1 should be on the bottom. I'll put him over there. And here we go. Greg Harris, Jim Fry, Dave Steve, Tim Tuffle, Jose Rio, Julio Franco, Mark Thurman, Gary Maddox, Jerry Narin. And I need to pause for 1 second here. I got to run over here. I'll be back in a second. I'm moving as fast as I can. All right. I'm moving back as fast as I can, and I'm back. Holy smokes, this is great news. But I have to do something here. As we are doing the 1985 Topps Complete set. Every card. And we'll check it out. As I'm checking something out here on TV, I got to tape it. Make sure I don't miss it. All right. And here we go. Ed Jurek, Dave Beard, Dwayne Murphy, Gary Hall of Famer Carter, like that hat, helmet, Dave LaPointe, Dion and the Belmont James, Danny Darwin, Juan Beniquez, Mike Boddicker, Al Cowens, Tom Hume, Hubie Brooks, Ron Reed, Fred Lynn, Gerald Perry, Doyle Alexander, Leon Roberts, Jerry Don Gleaton, Bob Brenly, John Tudor, Billy Gardner, George Vukovic, Clay Christensen, Gary Matthews, Bill Campbell, Champ Summers, Mark Clear, Phil Garner, Steve Rogers, Art Howe, Bob McClure, Gorman Thomas, Burt, Happy Hooten. Another card upside down to show me that I got to replace it. And Reggie Jackson, geez, probably going to cost me a couple bucks, but still. Dennis Martinez, Eddie Milner, Mike Warren, Pete O'Brien. Cards are great shape, except about 4 of them have had wax stains on the back. Gary Lucas, Ricky Nelson, not the singer, Joe Niekro, Tom Nieto, Kurt Young, Brad Kominsk, Bob Welch, Cecil Cooper, Tom Underwood, Jeff Kunkel. There we go. That's his dad played Major League Ball too. Walt Terrell, Rudy Law, Dan Dreesen, Marty Bystrom, Fred Mullins. Then how about the number 1 picks? In 84 was Sean Abner, didn't do anything. 83, Tim Belcher never did anything. Shawn Dunston did okay for the Cubs. Mike Moore really didn't do too much. Darryl Strawberry had a pretty good career. And a lot of cocaine. Al Chambers, don't really remember him. Bob Horner had a decent career. A lot of home runs and a lot of strikeouts. Harold Baines, Hall of Famer. The only one that's a Hall of Famer in the group is Harold Baines, and he had a great career. I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame, though. Floyd Bannister had a decent career. Billy Allman had a better than average career. And Jeff Burroughs was a long bomb hitter. And you got Tim Foley, a decent fielder. Dan Quisenberry, submarine pitcher, great pitcher. Dougie Baker, Chuck Tanner, Henry Cotto, Frankie Viola. Minnesota, they would put, whenever he'd pitch, they'd put a big banner up, sweet music, when he would pitch. Juan Samuel, great player. Joe Sambito. Mel Hall could hit the long ball. Greg Booker, checklist. Dave Righetti, good lefty. Gary Allenson, Mike Brown, Brian Little, Mike Stanton, Lonnie Smith, Pete Vukovich, Sid Bream, Danny Ford, Disco Dan Ford, Brad Golden, another cut upside down for wax stain. At least they're showing them who they are. Show me who they are. Jesse Orozco, Harold Baines, Terry Forster, Wayne Tollison, Mike Norris, Chili Davis, Mike Jones, Barbaro Garbe. And I should see if I missed any of the good cards yet. Yep, I did. And another card that would be pulled already would be Roger Clemens. Great shape of the Roger Clemens cards. No wax stains on that baby. So the best cards are in the best shape. So happy to see that. So that one would have been pulled, card number 181. So we'll put that over to the side. We are... How many cards are in the set? Is it 660 or 7? 663 cards. What a wacky number. That's a crazy number. I thought there was more. Hold on. I might have more. It's actually should be 728. 792. An 800 card set. Holy smokes. We're not even halfway done. Let's go. Rick Langford, Terry Pendleton, Charlie Lee, Dave Henderson, Billy Russell, Ted Power, Floyd Rayford. They called him Sugar Bear, Honey Bear Rayford. He looked like the bear from the cereal. Robin Yount, Hall of Famer. Danny Heap, Britt Burns, Billy Sample, Rance Mullenix, Bruce Benedict, Dick Hauser, Hall of Fame coach. Willie Hernandez, great reliever. Brian Harper, he could hit the ball. Bill Lasky, Leon the Bull Durham, Ron Washington, still coaching right now. It's amazing. I think he's coaching the Anaheim Angels. And he would be 72. He's looked older all the time. I mean, there he's only 32. Bob Shirley, Brooke Jacoby, Kevin Bass, John Denny, Bruce Bochy, Andy McGaffigan, David Stapleton, Ricky Horton, Dale Murphy, one of the best players in the 80s, not in the Hall of Fame. Jeff Jones, Ted Simmons, I think he is in the Hall of Fame. Jack Lazorko, John Lowenstein, Doug Sisk, Ron Oyster, Dave Schmidt, Mark Hill, Jim Gott, Manny Trio, Mike Witt. He had a couple great years. Johnny Wathen, good catch, good batting average for a catcher. Sparky Anderson, Rick Ruschel, Dale Berra, Dad's Yogi, Gary Gaetti, once turned 2 triple plays in the same game. Mike Jeffcoat, Tim Corcoran, John the Count Monofusco, Rodney Klein Carew, Hall of Famer. Andy Hawkins was a good righty. And Marty Barrett, decent player for the Bo Sox. What I'm going to do now is, to save room on my table, I'm going to put some of these back in the box. Hope you're enjoying watching me open up my 1985 box and putting the cards out. I'm actually going to go through every card, sort them out. There's a few cards, as you see, I'm going to have to redo. I just opened that one, so there we go. All right, we are not even halfway done yet. John Franco, good closer. Wayne Gross, Ron Darling. When I'm done with this set, we will finally be over halfway. Gary Ward, Vance Lott, Buddy Black, Bobby Cox, Bob Horner could hit the bombs. And it looks like he had a decent batting average, but struck out a load too. Actually, not really. 500 at-bats, 50 strikeouts. That's not terrible at all. Brad Wellman, Sid Monge, Bobby Ramos, Len Whitehouse, Tom Verizer. Then we go to the U.S. baseball team in 1984. Billy Swift was an okay pitcher. Corey Steiner could hit the long ball. Pat Pacillo, don't remember him. Oldby McDowell, center fielder for the Rangers. John Marzano played a little bit. Shane Mack was a decent player for the Twins and Blue Jays. John Hoover, don't remember him. Gary Green, don't remember him. Mike Dunn, don't remember him. Bob Caffrey, don't remember him. Scott Bankhead, played a little bit. Don August, don't remember him. How about Flavio Alfaro? Don't remember him. I think he's on the wrong team. Sid Aikens and Rod Dedeaux was the coach of Team USA. And one more player played for Team USA, a guy named Mark McGuire. Look at the shape of that card. Nothing wrong there. No wax stain on that one. So it's weird. A couple of wax stains on some of the cards, but the best cards are in the best shape. How about Bert Roberge, Buddy Biancalata, Danny Gladden, 2 World Series rings with the Twins, Jose De Leon, Jody Davis, Rick Lysander, Danny Walling. He was a good player. Roy Smith, Ken Griffey Sr., Charles Moscow on the Hudson, Alan Wiggins, Jeff Newman, Jeff Reardon won a World Series with the Twins in 1987. Brian Downing, Mike Moore, Roy Howell, Mickey Rivers was fast. Mostly known for all of those days with the Yankees when they were in the World Series. And that was only 4 years. That's what I remember. Bruce Sutter, one of the best closers in the Hall of Fame for sure. R.J. Reynolds, Dave Bergman. Keith Cato, don't remember him. Todd Cruz, Danny Ozark. Richard Dotson, decent pitcher. Ron Hodges, Craig McMurtry. There's Alfredo Griffin. He was Rookie of the Year in 1979 with John Castino, co-Rookies of the Year. Steve Carlton, Hall of Fame. 313 wins at this point. Pat Sheridan, Tony Pena. He was the first catcher I've ever known to kind of squat on his knees, or he would always be on one knee when he caught. Rich Bordy, Dave Meyer, Bert Behome Blyleven, Andre Robertson, Julio Solano, Blyleven in the Hall of Fame, Joe Morgan in the Hall of Fame, Juan Agosto, Wade Boggs in the Hall of Fame. Joe Morgan was at the end of his career, and they didn't even give him a 0 on the end. They gave him a 2. Crazy. Wade Boggs, one of the best. Domingo Ramos and Bob Boone. Fantastic catcher. Finally over the halfway point of one of the largest sets ever made. Bob Knepper, Glenn Wilson, Tom Waddle, Johnny Castino. We just talked about the Rookie of the Year. He was the co-Rookie of the Year as well. Bruce Hurst, Steve Garvey. I already said he should be in the Hall of Fame. Phil Bradley had a good career. Darryl Thomas, Jeff Lottie, Jim Sumberg, a longtime catcher. Tippy Martinez. Brother was Denny. Tony Phillips, George Wright, Ken Forsch. Had a brother named Bob. Dwayne Walker, Fernando Valenzuela. Wonder why he's not in the Hall of Fame. I wonder how many wins he ended his career with. Junior Ortiz, Joe Torre, Hall of Fame coach. Al Jones, not in the Hall of Fame. Willie Mays Aikens, Dan Petrie, Gene Richards, Jim Morrison, Thad Bosley. And by the way, Willie Mays is watching over there, along with his friend, Ken Griffey Jr. I have it zoomed in a little bit. U.L. Washington, Ron Davis, one of the worst closers in Twins history. Rick Cerrone, Larry Anderson, Mario Ramirez, Vern Rule, Mike Hargrove, Al Nipper, Barry Bonnell, Carney Lansford, Dave Rucker, Andre the Hawk Dawson, Mike Caldwell, and Kenny Landreau. Traded for Rod Carew. Put that stack back as we're closing in on the 2/3 mark. How about Oral Hershiser rookie? had the longest. He still might have the record for the most consecutive scoreless innings. They sleeved that one up. Davey Johnson, Rick Camp, Jason Thompson, Brian Clark, Joel Skinner, Frank Williams, Steve, bye-bye Balboni. There's a guy with a low batting average, a lot of home runs. And a lot of strikeouts. 139 strikeouts and 400 at-bats. Matt Young. And well, there's no Wexton on that. Matt Young. Larry Bowe, a great player. Mike Smithson. Look how tall Mike Smithson was. 6'8". They also had Lenny Faedo on the team, who was like 5'1". Harry Spillman, Dale Murray, Lou Whitaker should be in the Hall of Fame. Mike Madden, Kurt Bavacqua. Bob Ojeda was a good pitcher for the Sox. Jeff Stone, Andre Thunder Thornton, Kurt Gebshire, Tim Wallach, liked watching him play. Little Wax. Jim Messian, Pete Ladd, Steve Sachs, Sammy Stewart, Wayne Krenchicki, always like saying that name, Ed Lynch, Tony La Russa, Hall of Fame coach, Bobby Gritch, Mike Mason, Dave Collins, Gary Lavelle, Marty Castillo, Ryan, Hall of Fame, Sandberg, Charlie Leibrandt, Randy Johnson. There's 2 Randy Johnsons, one with the Twins, one with the Braves at that time. Cecilio Guante and Tim Foley. We're now only 300 cards away from the end of this regular set, and I even have to show you the update set, which I brought with. We'll put that on top of a box here. Don Slott, Mark Davis, Claudel Washington, Aurelio Lopez, Keith Moreland. These are all good players. Don Robinson, Pat Putnam, and that was after he played all those years with the Rangers. Brian Diet, Tony Bernazard, Frank DePino. None of those cards are bad players. They're all good, probably above average players. Joe Lefevre, probably the first one below average. Dave Revecki, great pitcher. Unfortunately had a arm injury. Richie Gedman, a good catcher. Bill Kruger, Dave Palmer, Darrell Porter, Rob Wilfong, Candy Maldonado, Dave Concepcion. Boy, he had many years. I don't know why he's not in the Hall of Fame. Great. He's almost like the Ozzie Smith, but won more World Series. Jeff Cornell, Lynn Jones, Tom Brookins, Lee Hammer. Sorry about that. I think we were about here. Brookins, Lee Smith, Kent Herbeck, one of the Twins Hall of Famers, Milt May, John Shelby, Ray Fontenot, Franklin Stubbs' toe, Jim Beattie, Jerry Willard, Tim Conroy, Rick Miller, Dan Schatzeder, won a World Series with the Twins, Mike Schmidt, Hall of Fame, one of the best third basemen ever to play the game, Danny Cox, Ed Romero, Gary Pettis, Donnie Scott, Mario Soto, and Rich Dower. All right. Storm Davis, Jose Oquendo, Brad Leslie, Jerry Hairston, Larry Gura, Kurt Wilkerson, Rich Leach, Jeff Robinson, Larry Herndon, Rick Ray Knight, Bob Dernier, Bobby Castillo, Doug Frobel, Bill Schroeder, Butch Weiniger. He once told Calvin Griffith for the Twins, he loves Pele and baseball so much he'd play for free. And they had commercials in the Twin Cities. At the end, they would say, from Calvin Griffith, they go, I love that kid. Tightwad, Calvin Griffith. Kevin Gross, Bobby Brown. Ken, good evening, Mr. Phelps. Mark Wagner. Dwight Evans should be in the Hall of Fame. Ron Romanek. Terry Francona. Chris Spear. Look at that. He just got traded from the Cardinals to the Twins. And that's what the painter did with the Twins jersey. Just painted some stripes on it, painted the helmet, put a little TC on it. And just dumb how they did it back then. Jamie Kokenauer, Pedro Guerrero, Joe Altobelli, Ray Tibbs, Tom Wimpy Pachorik, Charlie Huff, Darryl Strawberry. He's in the St. Paul Saints Hall of Fame. Ken Obergefell, Cliff Johnson, Joel Youngblood, Ed Vandenberg, Kirk Gibson, great player of the 80s. Had the home run, the one-armed home run against the A's in the World Series off of Dennis Eckersley, and he played for the Dodgers. Alan Ashby, Dick Ruthven. There's Houston Jimenez, the smallest player. It says 5'7". There's no way he was 5'7". He was like 5'4". Daryl Motley, Bill Madlock, Jay Howell, Carmelo Martinez, Len Barker, Sixto Lascano, Bob Stanley, Doug Flynn, Bob Clark, Chris Cotterilli, Andy Van Slyke, Scott McGregor, Mike Sosha, Larry Parrish, Pete Rose, Brent Gaff, Lloyd Mosby, Bruce Keeson, Mike Squires. So we're 543 away. We only have 250 cards left. Boy, this is exciting. Louis Gale, Mike Heath, Steve Crawford, Tony Hall of Fame Gwynn, one of the best hitters ever to play the game. Mike Stenhouse, Jim Slayton, Chuck Cottier, Joaquin Andujar, Dave Anderson, Mark Brohard, Joe Nolan, Jeff Russell, Greg the Bull Luzinski, Sid Fernandez, Bob Jones, Rafael Ramirez, Scott Thompson, Damaso Garcia, Mark Hoosman, Johnny Grubb, Dave Owen, Rod Scurry, Steve Henderson, Ed Hodge, Mike Pagliarulo, Brett Butler, Shane Raleigh, Terry Kennedy, Bill Daly, Glenn Hoffman, Bruce Bocci, Ken Forge, Tim Raines, Dick Schofield, Renee Locheman, Eric Davis in a sleeve. Once again, it's funny, the best cards are in great shapes, no wax, and pretty much many other cards have wax stains. German Rivera, Mark Langston, Benny Ayala, Greg Walker, Louis Leal, Marvis Foley, Dwight Gooden in a sleeve, rookie card. Jeffrey Leonard, wax stain. Pete Falcone, Willie Wilson, Scott Sanderson, Marvell Wynn, Al Williams, Terry Poole, Mike Armstrong, Ozzie Virgil, Jack Morris from St. Paul Hall of Famer, Broderick Perkins, Craig Leffert, Bill Ullman, Rich Gale, Ozzie Smith, Hall of Famer, Darryl Sconiers, not in the Hall of Fame, Rick Manning, Jeff Dedman, Tommy Lasorda, Hall of Fame, and Pete Rose, not in the Hall of Fame. As we just have a couple of stacks left here, let's do this stack. I guess we got to do the next stack, 640 to 690 here. We'll do the All-Stars all together. Let's do all of the All-Stars. Okay. Bruce Sutter, Bob Nepper, Rick Sutcliffe, Gary Carter, Jeff Leonard, Tony Gwynn, Dale Murphy, Ozzie Smith, Mike Schmidt, Ryan Sandberg, Keith Hernandez. That lineup would beat a lot of teams. Let's see what the AL brought at them. The Q, Quisenberry, Frankie Viola started. Mike Boddicker, Lance Parrish, Tony Armas, Ricky Henderson, Dave Winfield. I wonder what team would win. Cal Ripken, George Brett, Damaso Garcia, and Eddie Murray. And wow, they put Murray back to back. I think the NL might win with Carter, Gwynn, Murphy, Smith, Schmidt, Sandberg. Yeah, I would put the NL at the favorite for that game. Eddie Murray, Hall of Famer, card number 700, one of the greatest ever to play. Donnie Moore, George Bell, Onyx of Concepcion, Johnny Rabb, Rick Rode, and Joe Carter. Tim Stoddart, Randy Bush, Dennis Rasmussen, Alan Trammell, Hall of Famer, Louis DeLeon, Len Matusek, Bill Gullickson, Mike Eastler, the Hitman, Bill Cottle, Billy Duran, Whitey Herzog, Hall of Famer, Doug Corbett played in the All-Star game for the Twins. Ben Ogilvy, longest home run I've ever seen hit was at the Metrodome. Him and Ken Herbeck both hit 460-foot homers plus in one game. Jerry Royce, Bob Kearney, Joey McLaughlin, Wally Backman, Albert Hall, Tony Hall of Famer Perez. Atlee Hammaker, Buck Martinez, Juan Berenguer, won a World Series with the Twins in '87. Danny Orge, Tom Seaver, Hall of Famer, Lee Lacy. Steve Trout, Dad was dizzy. Dave Engel played in one All-Star game. Dave Lacoste, Don Mattingly, sleeved up. Steve Farr, no relation to John. And we have one big stack left. Darrell Evans, Ivan DeJesus, Ron Guidry, great pitcher. Luis Salazar, Steve Comer, Jim Wolford, Enos Cobell. Tony Armas had many good years. Checklist, Jorgensen, Tom Niedenfuer, Jimmy Gantner in the zeros. Mike Flanagan had a great year. Nick Osaski was a decent player. Mike Davis, Ned Yost, Jerry Royster. How about Mookie Wilson, Dennis Lamp, Hal McRae? He was great. Johnny LeMaster, Jeff Zahn. Carlton, Pudge Fisk. Joe Cowley, Ron Say, Darryl Brown. Paul Mirabella, Willie Randolph. Jamie Easterly, Kiko Garcia, Eddie Whitson, Jerry Remy. Nolan, Hall of Famer Ryan. Jim Fanning, Ray Burris, Willie McGee, E.T. McGee. Rob Piccolo, Ken Singleton, Larry Milbourne, Greg Brock, Bob Ochenko. Raleigh Fingers, Julio Cruz, Lee Mazzilli, Alex Trevino, Jim Clancy, Buddy Bell. Man, what a cool-looking jersey, and one of my favorite players of all time. Doug Baer, Frank White, Ron Hassey, John Butcher, Jack Clark, Ernie Macho Camacho, they called him, Omar Moreno, Bo Diaz, Jerry Mumphrey. How about this guy? Bam! Kirby Puckett. That's in great shape. So the funny part is, with all the wax stain cards, probably about 20, maybe 30, the best cards are in great shape. Gary Templeton, John Henry Johnson, Tony Scott, fake helmet, they painted it on. Did a good job. That used to be an Astros helmet, and they made it look like it's sun sitting right there. John McNamara, Neil Allen, Dave Kong Kingman, Don Sutton. Talked about him and all those strikeouts he had many years in a row. Bob Ayler, Frank Pastore, Al Bumbry, Floyd Bannister, Oscar Gamble, and Dave Stewart with the Rangers, not the A's. He was more known for his time with the Oakland A's. That's the complete regular set of the 1985 top set. Happy with some of the cards, very unhappy with how many cards I have to rebuy because of wax stains. There will not be any wax stains on the insert cards, so that's always good to see. And I'm not sure if they put them in order or not. Sometimes they did back then, and sometimes they didn't. It looks like this year they did. So let's do the second 71st. Bob James. These guys were all either traded during the season or were rookie cards coming up. About June 1st, they retook some new pictures of some of the guys. Cliff Johnson, Hojo, Howard Johnson, now with the Mets from the Tigers, and they did the back and white. Herbert Jones, Steve Kemp, Bruce Keeson, Alan Nicely, Mike Lacoste, Lee Lacey, Dave LaPointe, Gary Laval, Vance Lal, Johnny LeMaster, Sixto Lescano, Tim Lawler, Fred Lynn, Billy Martin, now the manager for the Yankees. April 29th, they fired the coach after 3 weeks. Ron Mathis, Len Matusik, Gene Mock. Wonder when the Angels fired their manager. Had a distinction of managing his nephew, Roy Smalley. Otoby McDowell, Roger McDowell, John McNamara. Oh, I forgot. That's what they used to do. They used to put them in alphabetical order. Yeah, McNamara, Moore, Nelson, Nicosia, Al Oliver, Ayo, Joe Orsulak, Rob Piccolo, Chris Pitaro, Jim Presley, Rick Ruschel. Where was he at before that? The Cubs to the Pirates. Bert Roberge, Bob Rogers, coach of the Expos, Jerry Royster, Dave Rozema, cool looking Ranger jersey, Dave Drucker, Vern Rule, Paul Runge, Mark Salas. Wonder if he's related to the Rungies, who's the umpire. Luis Salazar, Joe Sambito, Rick Shue, Donnie Scott, Larry Sheets, Don Slott, Roy Smalley back on the Twins. Better looking swing with the Twins than he did with the White Sox. All-Star in, I think, 1979. The All-Star break, he was batting like 360. Lonnie Smith, Nate Snell, Chris Speyer, Mike Stenhouse, Tim Stoddard, Jim Sundberg. What's Stenhouse? Expos to the Twins. That's cool. He's wearing a Twins home jersey. Something we never saw in Minnesota. Hardly any cards ever taken at the minute. Bruce Suter, Don Sutton, Kent DeCalve, like DeCalve. Tom Tillman, Walt Terrell, Mickey Tattleton, Daryl Thomas, Rich Thompson, Alex Trevino, John Tudor, Jose Uribe, Bobby Valentine, Dave Van Olen, UL Washington, Earl Weaver, Hall of Fame manager. I don't get why he has a card. He did not coach in 83. Altobelli was a coach, that's right. They fired Altobelli, and then they brought Earl Weaver back. Eddie Whitson and Herb Winningham. The rest, the final stack of the 85 tops and update. Don Assay, Billy Allman, Benny Ayala, Dusty Baker, George Bamberger. Another guy, second stint. Wow, came back. Dale Barra, Dad Yogi, Rich Bordy, Daryl Boston, Hubie Brooks, Chris Brown, Tom Browning. I think that's his rookie card. Tom Browning's rookie, great player. Al Bumbry, Ray Burris, Jeff Burrows, Bill Campbell, Don Carmen, Gary Carter. Gets traded from the Expos and all those 1,365 hits, 215 homers, 272. He's an avid collector of baseball pitcher cards. It would be great if we said he likes Donruss and Fleer. All right, Bobby Castillo played for the Twins in the World Series. Bill Caudill, Rick Cerrone, Brian Clark, Jack Clark, Pat Clements, Vince Coleman. That is a cool card, and that is his rookie card. Look how cool that is. He was a punter in high school. His cousin is Greg Coleman. Yeah, Vikings longtime punter. I forgot about that. That is one of my favorite rookie cards ever made right there. Vince Coleman flying towards second base or third base trying to steal it. Dave Collins. Liked watching him play too. Danny Darwin, Jim Davenport, Jerry Davis, Brian Dayette, Ivan DeJesus. Ken Dixon, Mariano Duncan, John Felsky, Mike Fitzgerald, Ray Fontenot, Greg Gagne, rookie card for the Twins. Oscar Gamble, Scott Geraltz, Bob Gibson. Not the Bob Gibson from the Cardinals. Jim Gott, David Green, Alfredo Griffin, Ozzie Guillen, rookie card. Eddie Haas, Terry Harper, Toby Hara, Greg Harris, Ron Hassey, Ricky Henderson was traded from those Oakland A's. And then he went berserk with the Yankees. Steve Henderson, George Hendrick, Joe Hesketh, Teddy Higuera. I liked him too. That's his rookie card. Donnie Hill, Al Holland, Bert Happy Hooten, Jay Howell, Ken Howell, Lamar Hoyt, and Tim Hullett. That is the 85 traded set. We just looked at the regular set. I can now put every card into sleeves. Hope you enjoyed watching the 1985 Topps complete set opening with every player's name mentioned. Have a good day and see you later, Kirby Puckett.